Making a Karambit Part 2, Grinding and Hunt Invite. William Hovey Smith, 2019. I'm the owner of Hovey's Knives of China, and I'm also an author. I have done mostly outdoor books, but I do have a business title, Create Your Own Job Security. And in this title, I advocate that a person start their own jobs when and where it's necessary to accomplish their life goals. Now, in my case, as a late life job, I created my own company, Hovey's Knives of China, and I'm also going to republish Create Your Own Job Security with a different slant. The new book is going to be Make Your Own Job Anytime, Anywhere, at any age. And in order to finance this book, I'm going to host a hunter here at Whitehall for 5 days when we're going to hunt with some of my interesting muzzleloading guns and crossbows and anything else he has a fancy to, or he can bring his own for that matter, for $1,000. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And we're in the knife shop today, and we're going to resume work on our Karambits. Now, both of these are going to require a lot of stock to be removed from these tiller points that I've already straightened and partially ground. And the additional stock removal generates a lot of heat in the blade. Literally, you can no longer hold it. Yeah, and so what we do is we cut us a pole right here, and we're going to make some temporary grips for it, except these will be more than grips. There'll be something I can get both hands on, and so we're going to cut and fit those before we continue our grinding on the blade. I'm now going to slab these two sticks so I can get some flat edges so they'll be easier to drill. We've slotted our wood on the bandsaw, and now we're going to drill a hole to enable us to put a pin or bolt through the knife as we grind it. Okay. Now we have our nut and bolt through, and in this green wood we can tighten it quite solidly. Now the ring prevents it from rotating in that direction, but I'm going to go ahead and put a pin on the inside here to further support it and keep it more rigid as I grind. I've got it ready to fit my pin here. And I've chosen a bit that about is the size of this common nail. And I'm going to use a nail because I don't want to use my expensive brass pin sock for a temporary purpose here. And this will do just fine. And we'll see if we can feel it through here so I can try to see where it's going. Okay, that is just exactly right. It just nudged the edge, which is exactly what I want to happen here. Okay, that hole is through. And just now we can just start our nail and put it through, and that will certainly hold this blade in place regardless of how much pressure I put on it. I've just used a hacksaw and cut off the protruding ends of the nails. And you can see that this nail fits exactly against the curve of the handle here. Plus this nut and bolt allows me to tighten very firmly around the grip. So this ain't going nowhere, fellas. And this illustrates the value of using green wood. In fact, you can do things with green wood that you cannot do after it cures. It has much more flexibility. You can drive nails in it without fear of splitting nearly so bad. It drills easier. Disadvantages, it doesn't drill quite as cleanly. You always get stringy little things hanging off it. But, guys, this tool is only going to be made to function for a few hours. Or maybe a couple of days at worst if you have to put it down and pick it back up again. So, for this purpose, it did very, very well, and better than almost any other material I can think of. For our Karambit that's going to be a butchering tool, we're going to take a little different approach. I'm going to go ahead and drill the wood and the steel at the same time. This is usually not recommended. Very commonly, or most commonly, or usually, you drill the steel first, and then you use the pattern in the steel to drill the holes in your knife scales. But since we don't have holes in this blade, and it hasn't been hardened yet, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do it in one fell swoop with this tri-handle here that we're basically going to use as a grinding aid. The wood, of course, it goes through with no problem. When it hits the steel, you'll know it. Okay, we're on top of the steel now. Give it a little cutting off. The first hole got successfully drilled. Now I put a temporary pin here just to index this hole before I start the next one. Now because of the curved nature of this blade, the extreme curve, I've made it solid by putting some steel scrap in here so I can get good pressure and hold it to my vise. So we'll go and resume as we did before. Okay, we're through the steel now and finish up through the wood. Yep, we got her done. So now we find some appropriate stock and just put temporary pins in here while we grind this. We find in our miscellaneous nuts and bolts collection a size that not only screws in, but leaves enough room for us to put a washer and nut on the other side to make sure it doesn't go nowhere. To give me better control when I'm doing the grinding, I'm just knocking the bark and smoothing it up a little bit on our wood so I can have a more uniform grip all around. Shut off my fans and taken off my mask for a little bit so I can show you what I'm doing. Well, here is the knife, the Karambit, as it appears. And as you see, I've already started thinning. And we've taken the blade down, the weight, probably at least 20%, maybe 30%. And we're now working on the bevels here and thinning this spine. And I'm doing this with a coarse grit here on the sander. And that moves the metal in a hurry. I'm using both parts of it. Now this is being done on the bend right there, whereas this bevel is being done right here. And I'll show you just a little bit of it. And you can see each pass make its own mark. Well, we still have the coarse 36-inch grit on our belt sander here. We're going to start working on our pole tool. The edge configuration that we're starting with is exactly the opposite about what we want. This is nearly a 1/4 inch thick. And so it's this edge we want to do the chopping. This edge is thin, which is okay. So this will do for the slicing and cutting like this. For the chopping edge, we need a much more obtuse kind of angle for the cut. Something more like you'd put on an axe. Whereas for slicing, yeah, we want a very fine edge indeed. And, well, this will more or less do, I think. Again, we'll probably lose some of the tip here because this is just so thin. This machine will, well, eat it and burn it off, quite frankly. Now, I'm not going to reduce the width of the blade very much because I want as much weight in this blade as I've got. So the procedure for the two knives is going to be a little bit different. We've now established a profile on this edge right here. And this is about as much as I'll do with this profiling at the moment. I'm now going to work on this bevel and sharpen it. And then we'll remove the scale on it and sort of clean up the shape of the knife again before we change grits and actually start working on both blades. I've basically finished the edge shaping here, and our holding stick has been a great aid in enabling me to actually apply pressure to the blade here without getting my hands burned or my gloves ate up, and so we've been able to do that. Now there comes a time when you're working with salvage materials that you have to make some decisions. This tiller point had been set out in the rain and soil and had corroded, and I was able to remove the corrosion pits from this part of the blade because I have thicker material. But right here at the end, the corrosion was already so advanced and the pitting so deep, if I try to get that out, I remove that tip actually. It's just too thin to grind those tips out. So consequently you reach a decision. For aesthetics reasons, yeah, you like it all bright and shiny and smooth, etc., etc., etc. But in a working blade, well, that's not quite so significant. So I'm going to retain that point and work around those pits. I'm just going to leave them in there. We have this edge now down to a brush kind of finish, and we're going to use one finer grit yet, but now we're going to go back to the Karambit and do the same thing to it. And here we are with the Karambit. Now the edges on this knife now are razor sharp. Even though they're not treated, they would dull quickly if you tried to use them. But yeah, they will cut you easily enough. And this is another reason for doing this final finishing with an elongate handle, so you aren't really in that close a contact with the blade. We have our Point derived Karambit knives here on the table, and we're getting ready to seal them in these stainless steel foil packets to go in the oven for the tempering process. And this is, of course, how they look when we started. So yeah, they look a bit different now. We're now near enough to the magic hour of extraction that we're going to go ahead and do it. First thing to do is to turn the oven off to keep yourself from getting electrocuted. Open. Track one. Track two. Quickly as possible, put the chill plate on. And 25 pounds a shot. So now we let it chill. Well, this is like Christmas time at the knife shop. You see how we did. Sounds good. Well, we have come a long way with our Karambit style knives and tools. And I'm going to leave the color case on this. What's next? This knife, except for the final thin work on this edge, is about done. So you can use it like this right now. Yeah, swing it around and drag it towards you, either way. But we're going to put a grip on it. The grip is going to come back and fill the palm, and it'll be of this plank of wood here. Then on the pole tool, here, this is a little too light for chopping. So I'm going to increase its weight. I'm going to add a length of this brass pipe here. And then I'm going to put it on this pole. And so this will be a very effective chopping tool when I'm done. So you can look forward to seeing me doing that on the next episode. And ultimately, maybe even cleaning a deer with this, or hog, either one. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. In case you're wondering why I'm making these knives will be utilized by Luigi the Claw, who is a mafia enforcer in my new novel, Father of the Grooms. And he likes intimidating weapons, and certainly this Karambit is. Now the game dressing tool is, now that's for me. So I am interested in seeing just what it will do on a piece of deer or some such thing, and so we're going to try it out. Now, the hunt period that is available for deer is from the 1st to the 12th of January. Now, after that, we can do some small game or waterfowl if you still have time. However, the hunt is for one person for 3 deer. If you want to bring your child or buddy, you can for an additional $500, but you may take only the same 3 deer. You've also got to have a valid hunting license from your home state. Now, Georgia has inexpensive short-term licenses, which you will also need to purchase. Now, I'm going to help you process and freeze your deer if you want me to. Otherwise, you may donate it to Georgia's Hunters for the Hungry program. If you can only hunt for 3 days instead of 5, the price is unfortunately going to be the same. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 750 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. For information about my knives, you can go to Hovey's Knives of China blog.co. And to find out about Follow of the Grooms and how you can actually participate in it, you can go to followofthegrooms.net. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.